Okay? Can you see the square? Can you imagine it? I know you don't see it, but can you imagine one thing? That's what I normally do in the teaching of my students. As big as the man who showed it, the support. How many of you go to a store? Is there any clothing store in town that has one size clothing? No? Why not? Okay. Would you not then say that when you do your movements should be different sizes in motion? Suited to your body, just as the clothes is suited to you? You bet it is. No doubt about it. Okay, likewise, if we can imagine this square. May I have a pen over there, please? Right there. If we can imagine this square and think of going from one corner coming across. Now, if by doing that, what have I done with this square? If I have a square like this, and I come from this corner to this corner, what have I done? What have I done? Cut in half and have made what? Two triangles. Correct? Alright, now, if I cut it this way, what have I done? Four triangles. Right? How many triangles we got? Four triangles. Okay, so now, in actuality, when you're learning, you should learn to go to a point of reference. In other words, go from corner to corner. Okay? And stop here. Some of you are blocking out here. Even later on, when you learn an outward block, instead of going from corner to corner, I make you do a half a line of this imaginary square. And when I do that, what have I got?
Two rectangles.
Huh?
Two rectangles.
Two rectangles. If I follow the line, where is this arm stopping? Within the boundaries of that square? Yes. But why do I see you guys block this one? Let me show you a head of such a block. Could I use you? You go back with it. I will not touch you. Honestly. Unless you didn't make your payment the last month. I back with your left and use you right out. Okay, he's doing okay. He's doing it. He's alright. But I see some of you blocking out here. You understand me? Instead of blocking in line with this, I see you guys blocking over here. Now what's wrong with this?
Leave yourself open more. Leave yourself open more.
Fine. How many of you guys have heard a guy named Bill Cosby? You know who Bill Cosby is? Bill Cosby and I are very good friends because I used to work with them on I Spy because Robert Culp was my student, so is Bill. I was with him one day when we were in Vegas, and Bill Cosby said he got up in the morning and had breakfast at the Hilton Hotel in Vegas. And when he looked at the breakfast, he said, 1 egg and bacon was $1.65. But for an extra 20 cents, only a meager 20 cents, you could have 2 eggs and bacon. He said, for that little price, tell me what was wrong with the other egg. Okay? Now you tell me what's wrong with this movement. Distance, in terms of width, is one of the answers. What else? Well, you would have wasted your energy. What else? Block me my right arm. Out here. Now what could I do if I snap it? Break what? What arm? His right arm. Where at? What about the shoulder? You feel the pressure in the shoulder? Man, I tell you, if I see a guy like this, and there's a lot of styles that block way out wide. I love these things. Because they become my help to destroying them. Okay? So keep your moves within the confines of your body. Just as you have clothes that fit your body, you have movements that fit you. Okay? This is an oversized movement. You're not going to wear a size that belongs to an 800 pounder, are you? When you put clothes on. Then why are you doing one that makes you wide? Doesn't make sense. Okay, now, why is it that when I show you this imaginary square, why am I having you go from corner to corner? You know, he's doing this now instead of going straight across. Now this is a habit that I see many of you guys use. See, you're not even going to the corner, you're coming here, okay? That's a very good point. Now, if this was a knife, a dagger, what would you do with the dagger? Would you cock it like this before you stab with it? Yeah, you would. How many of you have seen do you guys cock your arm this way and block, or you cock your arm outside? If you cock your arm this way and block and you had a dagger, what are you going to do?
That's natural.
Yeah, you become a national hero among the Japanese. Right? And then what? So it makes sense that you palm it out. Now, if you had a knife or dagger in your hand, I asked you to stab the corner, and your hand was like this, would that dagger stab it? So if you hit it like in Hollywood, like that, would it hit it? What would you have to do? Pretty much have your hand positioned correctly so that this blade will in fact stick in the corner. So some of you go home now. Practice not maybe with a real dagger, but with something similar and blunt. So that you learn to position your arm here. Now, that is a point of reference. It doesn't mean that in reality you can't go above it, below that point, before that point, beyond that point, to the left of that point, or to the right of it. There's no restriction. But in terms of learning, it is a point of what? Reference. Because in time, keep together, even though your body goes back, think of the fact that there's a hinge on this square. You see me? When he goes back, there's a hinge on the square, and the square is still here. Now, where would his arm hit? Still up to this point. Understand? Don't think that when you step back, the square changes to here, and you block over here, because your mind is over here, bro. Understand? So even when you move back, think of that square floating in midair as if it had a hinge, and you still strike off to that corner. Why is it important that we strike to that corner? Why don't we curve our hand when we hit? Come on now, put your thinking caps on. This is our seminar, not mine. It's ours. Y'all, to share the knowledge I have. I'm not showing you what I know, I'm sharing with you what I know, but I want you to share along with me. Why? That's a good point. What else?
Get off balance.
Good. You could get off balance. Now, go back. Block in the corner. The sooner you meet my arm out here, what happens to this? The greater point Y will be from your face. The later you meet my arm, okay, the less time it'll take my hand. So, meet action out here. Because the sooner you meet him here, the greater this will widen. Okay? Feet together. Move. See? Now, if you were to hook it in, hook it this way, you have gone to the top of your circle, and it's on the downside of it that you're making contact with me. Too much time. Understand me? What I tell you right from the start of this program, this seminar, he who hesitates, meditates in horizontal position. Man, that's a hesitating move, man. You know? You go up and you meet it, okay? Move. That's better. Back again. Move. Okay, now, another thing I saw earlier was when you move back, some of you are moving back, going back, and then move, okay? Is that a smart thing to say? Is my face? Huh? No, it isn't. But yet I saw some of you, when you moved back a little while ago, you went face forward, then block. What's the purpose of stepping back? To get out of the way of another punch, that's right. Now, unless you don't like the face that you presently have, then stick it out there and get it rearranged. Hopefully, that it might turn out to look better. I don't know. Now, the whole objective in going back is to create distance. The foot takes the body away to create distance, and the arm is a reassurance that that arm of your opponent, okay, aside from the distance you create, this arm reassures it, I'm not hitting you. Okay? So there's a double situation, there's a turn when you're doing this. Alright, move, bam. Okay, right now, in the early stages, you're learning to shoot this hand back. Eventually, I'm going to want this hand here to protect the major. Okay? Alright, move back. Good. Alright, remember where the corner is, and remember, what do you have in your hand? A dagger. How do you turn the dagger this way? You can't hit that corner if you turn it. So, hit it. So this is right in line. Body alignment is extremely important. Get together, thank you very much. Alright, so can you remember this now when we do these blocks? I want you to step back with several things in mind. Think of this imaginary square, think about stabbing through the corner, think about not moving forward before you move back, but right back from where you're at. If distance is your first and best ally, the guy can't touch you on the first initial stages of his movement. He's not going to hurt you, but he can on the follow-up. All right, let's do it again. Remembering that when we go back with the left foot this time, make sure you use your right arm without your head coming forward before the left foot is put back. The entire body moves. Come on out a little bit. Come on out this way. We have room. Hold it, hold it, hold it. All right, not too much. Just like this. All right, position still. That is the whole objective of my training, is to get the best out of each of you in relation to your body. Okay, you gotta understand that the whole body weight is doing that. You see, you can't do this, and this pulls away from this. All right, position, feet together. Move, bang. Much better. From the right to the right. And now on the same side. Okay? All right, move. Much better. Move. Back. Move. Okay, I see another thing that I'm not saying it's wrong, nor am I saying it's right. Okay? That is, I see this happen. Okay? Where you think you can get a lot of power. What's happening? Why are you turning your back like this? Can you react from this? Yeah, maybe you go, maybe a back kick or something. You guys are overturning your march. When you come back here and here, don't switch. It's a neutral ball. You have an equal weight distribution, but facing in this direction, not where your body is in this direction and your head is over here. Not that we don't have these movements, but in this particular situation, to do that, you've overplayed yourself. Okay? I have position. One. Much better. Back. One. Back. Okay. Relax a little bit. Okay. Eventually, I would like to see you see the plus sign so that in addition to getting the proper width, this depth. Now before I go on even further, let me talk to you about several things. I'm going to ask you questions and I want answers, okay? How many of you have heard of Michelangelo? Okay, what about it? Rembrandt. Okay, Michelangelo, Rembrandt, and Picasso. Who are they? Painters. Okay, they're famous painters. Now we have each of their paintings on the wall. I want you to imagine each of their paintings on the wall. As we look at these paintings, what is the difference? Style. Hey, I keep hearing that word. Style. Could I have a club, a sharp club, or something like that, or a hammer? Style. Now that's a very interesting word, style. What is style?
Something you create your own.
What is style?
The way you make things. Style.
Give me a paper that's no less. Style is what, gentlemen? Ladies?
Something you create your own?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what style is. But the demonstration I'm going to show you right now, if they give me something that they should have had in me all along.
Yeah.
Got a hammer? Good, that's what I want. I'm going to show you what style is all about. Okay, exactly what you're trying to say. Here's a hammer. My thumb represents a nail. Now in California, they say when you pound a nail, you're supposed to pound it straight up and down. Okay? All of a sudden, I ended up in New York and say, hey, what are you doing? I said, I'm pounding the nail. As I was taught to become a carpenter in the state of California. Okay? They said, no, the proper way to hammer a nail in New York is to hit the nail in a circular motion from inside out. Okay? I come down the floor, they say, hey, well, you must be from New York because you got the circles going the wrong way. It's got to go from outside in. Okay? And you end up where I'm from, back and forth, and they say, hey, brother, you got to grab the hammer like this. Okay? Now, you tell me what the difference was. Method of execution is what style is all about. Okay? There's still a nail, and there's still a hammer. There are two things consistent throughout, the nail and the hammer. When we look at the painting, what are the consistencies? Canvas, paint, brush. But then it's the method of executing the brush and the paint is what makes each of the paintings different. Is that right? Now, as we learn how to write the English language, and we all have the same teacher for penmanship, as much as we try to write like her beautiful writing, what happens when we write? So now, would you not say it's because of our execution of the pencil or pen that's what makes our style of writing different from that of the teacher? Yes, it is. So style is no more than method of execution. Now some of you guys may come along and say, hey, a proper way to punch is that when the elbow gets to where the fist started, you turn. And there are some schools that say, you've got to turn right at that point. If you don't, you're wrong. Now you tell me, what's wrong with that philosophy? Right, what I tell you about the clothing room. Everybody has, how many stores you find in town that has only one size suit? And when you go over there, hey, I see we only have 38. And the obviously you wear size 40. But I tell you, here's a dietary list of the foods you're not supposed to eat. Come back in 3 months and the suit will fit. Will that sound right to you? Or the reverse? That's idiotic. I think a guy would go out of business in a week. You can't do that. Correct? You're all individuals. You're different. But now let's go back to that painting. We just established that style is their method of executing and the method of utilizing the paint and its colors. What else? Although they're all different styles, are they still, consistent in? Okay? What else? We established the fact they all use paint, they all use the canvas, and they all use the brush. But what are the facts in each of these paintings still remains consistent? The illusion of height, width, and depth. They still give you the feeling of dimension, of depth, width, and height. Correct? Now, would that also not be the same in terms of your stances that you do? If I go back for my body size, would I not have to have the proper width and the proper depth as it relates to my size? You bet it has to. I had a guy in the early 1950s who just came in from Japan, come to my school. He was 6 feet 6, and when he blocked, I said, "What are you doing?" "Why such a wide stance?" "Oh, so I studied. We all had to have the same level. You know, Japanese guys are so small. I had to have the same. I had to go this way so that my head was to the same level as them." Now what happens to you in the street when you go white? And you can hardly get out of it. You're in bad trouble. It's got to be proportionate to you. How do you find it? Very simple. Get one of these plus signs. You see? And what you do is you put the heels of your feet on this line. And as you drop back, you go toe and a heel. This toe touching this line and the heel touching this line gives you the proper what? What is this? Width. Now, if I drop my knee and my knee touches this line where my heel is, what have I got there? The depth. The proper depth, or we can call it length. Now, once I get the width and the depth, and I bend my knees comfortably, what then do I automatically obtain? Height. Height, width, depth. Height, width, depth. That's what we saw in the painting. That's what we have in this. Okay? Now, some of us will often do the cat sense. And we follow this line. This gives us the width. How do we get the depth for cat stance?
Foot and a half away.
Huh?
Foot and a half away.
Where the big toe ends, you draw a line, put your heel where it ended, as a start, and drop. That's how you get the proper depth. You get in relation to your proper width. So there's many ways to find it. And you'll find that in my next 5 volumes that are being called this commercial. Okay? Does this make sense to you? A lot of the things I'm telling you makes a lot of sense because it's simple. How many of us, once we see what a safety pin looks like, automatically say, hey man, I could have thought of it. How many of you see that thing and say, hey, I could have thought of that? But did we think about it? What about the paper clip? I'm easy, but did we think about it? No. We did. The guy who did made a lot of money. Now, so in time, as we do these stances, I want you to have the proper width, the proper depth. And once you have those two, what do you automatically get by just comfortably bending your knees? Your height. Now, repeat together. We're going to do the inward block. Think of what I told you about your width. Think of an imaginary line down the middle. Think about staying to the right of the line with your right foot, to the left of the line with your left foot. Because if you're too wide apart, what you got? You got trouble. Okay? But you don't want to be too thin where you're fighting for balance. You don't want to be too wide where you got a problem in your vulnerable areas. So you have to thin it down, still be in balance, and still be able to kick, okay, with ease and not with any complications. All right, we're going to go back now and try to get this imaginary width as we use an inward block. Move. Okay, drop your left knee down from there. Is it in line with the heel of your right foot? If it's not, get up. No, you're right. In the heel and the knee. Stand up. Stand up. That's how far you put your feet back. This is going to take time to do the practice. Believe me, it's not a problem. Some of you, I can see from the way you're going back too far, too wide. So, your feet together. Let's see it one more time. Move. Okay, fine. One thing I do see that I like is the fact that many of you move your feet in so that your foot is on a 45-degree angle. That's very good. Okay? All right, position. All right. You know what to do. I'm not going to bore you any more than what I just told you. I want you to go home with the permission of your mother or father. Put tape on the floor, not some that are permanent. nor do I want you to paint something on your floor. And practice with these symbols that I told you. Adani boss, alright? We're going to go into an upward block. I want to see your version of an upward block, and then I'm going to give you my version, and I'm going to tell you why, okay, that I think you should do it the way I do it. Okay, there's only two ways to do it. The wrong way and my way. I'll show you that the way I do it has more value to it than the way you do it. Okay? Start with the right upward, please. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now will some of you tell me what the purpose of that block is? What's it for? For an overhead club attack? For an overhead strike? For an overhead chop? Very true. Okay, now, let's see you do it a few more times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, fine. Now, may I have a volunteer, please? Believe me, there's nothing to happen to you guys anyway. Are they famous sometimes?
Get him, Jeff. I think he owes. I'm not sure.
Okay. Now, do you move by going back to the left foot? I want you to use your upper block. Move. Okay. Now, back again. Move. Okay. As you coming up with the arm, what are you doing with that arm? You blocking? Okay. Let me look at it from the profile now. Do the same move. Move. Okay. Did you notice this arm is coming up and it's going back toward you? Okay? Remember what I just said. The arm is coming up and then he's kind of moving it slightly back toward you. Now, if I come in with an action, if I had Barry Crowsley, the linebacker, yesterday we were together. He's one of our students. He's a Kenpo guy. He's the #1 draft choice for the Baltimore Colts. 245 pounds. Big, man. I'm telling you. If he came down like this and you came up and you move the hand back towards you, what's going to happen when you move the hand back towards you? You're inviting his force to force you back into yourself. So we got to make some kind of a restitution in changing that. Okay? I don't want you to come up and block when the action comes toward you, nor do I want you to come up and take the bulk of my force. Why do you want your arms to be pounded? Huh? It's just like a guy that grabs this 300-pound rock when the little guy comes around, puts a little fulcrum and moves a little lever, right? He's a smart guy. Lazy, no smart. Okay? Alright, because the Hawaiian back home, you know what they say about work? They love work. You can sit and watch it all day. Alright, everybody. Going back to the left foot, using right upper block. Move. Alright, now I'm going to show you what I believe to be the proper way of doing this block. Get down your horse again. Okay, I'm going to have you. I want you to think in terms of a board, a cardboard, or something like this, right down the middle of your body. And the top of this is in line with your eyebrow. Okay? In order to do this upward block that I would like you to do in a manner which I hope for you to do, I want you to think of something like this being in front of you, where you come up with this fist like an uppercut, so that this forearm is really alongside of this. And right from here, turn your hand so that it comes up but goes out to left field over here. Not back toward you. But it's almost really two moves where it's like an uppercut. And then right where the clearing occurs, shoot it over, okay? Like this, okay? Now, we're going to take it in 2 counts, but in actuality, it's 1 snaking count. You understand me? We're going to take it in 2 counts. 1 up. Right, eyebrows. Some of you guys, we got eyebrows up here. Come on. 2. Back again. Draw your mark head eyebrows. Way up here. Let's not be guys. 1, 2. Back again. Now remember, you're coming up and you're going out, away from you. Not up and toward you. Okay? So come up and away. Okay? What they say, the Superman, up, up and away, right? 1, 2. Back again. 1, 2. Okay, let's try the left arm, the rubber arm. Arm that looks like rubber. For those of you who are not left-handed. 1, 2. Back again. 1, 2. Back again. 1, 2. Okay, back to the right arm. But this time, let us not go through the double move, but through a single motion where 1 and 2 becomes 1. So it looks like this. See? Okay, 1. Oh, terrific, terrific. Some of you guys shocked yourselves, didn't you? Back again. 1. Oh, beautiful. I hear the elbow snapping. I got it back again. Move. Okay, back again. Move. Let's try the left arm, excuse me. Move. But remember now, this left arm goes to the right field. Right corner field. Back again. Left field. We're only working with the left. Move. Once again, so you're still coming back. Go out there. Go out to left field. Back down. Move. Back down. Move. Okay, much better. Alright, now the reason I'm showing you this move is I want to do some more parallel principles for you to better understand what I'm trying to get. Okay? Now, how many of you play the game of food? Family billiards is a more appropriate term. How many of you play? Okay, tell me, what is the objective or principle of playing? What are some of the principles in playing the game? Huh?
Shooting the ball.
With what? You mean there's no cue ball to shoot the ball in? You use a cue stick? Yeah, be a little more explicit, okay? I'm explaining. You use a what? A cue stick to hit a cue ball so that cue ball hits the other ball into a pocket, but with one other thing in mind.
The cue ball not going to the pocket.
Okay, yes, that's a good point. What else? You ever heard of the term positioning? What's the word? Positioning shot. Positioning is setting up so the next shot is made easy also. So in addition to you hitting a ball to get that ball into the pocket, you got to make sure that ball also is in line with the next ball that you're going to hit into the pocket. So it's made easy. Now, do you not continue to try to fish that way throughout the whole game so that you can run the table, so to speak? Yes. But if you do not, what then do you apply in terms of principle to cause your opponent, okay, not to make his game easy? You make sure you position that ball so that it's in a position that's awkward in terms of him being able to hit his ball into the pocket, right? So you thwart his efforts, you block his efforts from doing so. Do we not do the same thing in a martial art? You bet we do. Now, a little while ago, we saw a version, which is alright, of this. Now, if it came down against my arm, could I use my right arm for anything? No. But if he came over here, and I came in like an uppercut, and I slipped my arm off, would my arm take the bulk of his arm? No. What would happen? I'm ricocheting it off, and there's my cue ball for the next shot. Okay? Position is what it's all about. Why should I have my cue ball blocked and tied up for the next shot? Doesn't make sense, does it? Okay. Alright, so these are the things we got to do. You remember what I said? I'm going to relate to you what? Principles that you already know from other previous experiences. Put them together so that you see the parallels to understand the martial arts better. And that's what it is all about. Principles we already know, but we don't conceive right now the relationship between that and this. Once you see it, it's going to be an easy game. Alright, let's take another principle, another thing that we're going to do in terms of language, okay? What are these moves here? What? Defense or offense? Can they be switched into offense?
Yes, sir.
When would that occur? When would that occur? Okay, let me show you something. If he kicks with his left foot, just keep ball. Would that block? That's a block, right? Supposing now he grabbed me with his left arm. Right here. Okay, grab it. And all of a sudden I switched to this angle and I went this. Now what have I done with the downward block? Okay, and I've changed it from defense to what? So now I ask you the question again. Can you change an defense into an offense?
Yes.
Very true. Now if I block the arm, one thing. But if I block and hurt it, what then occurs? It becomes a strike. It's no more block. Really. Right? Now how often do you find you learn techniques in class? Block. Right? Block. Gee, man, we get real good in class. See? Well, these are friendly conditions. We're up against a friend. But we're learning that you can hit his arm, then hit him right back. See? You get all excited. And you say, man, I am getting good. You know? Gee, that's good. All of a sudden, you go on the street, what happens? You freeze, and you go forward, break his nose and hit by accident. Not because you intended to do it, but he forgot to step back, and he mistakenly stepped forward, but then his mistake was what?
A strike.
A strike to break the nose. I broke his nose and hit his arm with a key. How can he squawk? They never got his money to it, man. They got 2 for the price of 1. Isn't that right? Yeah, that's right. But see, the same move, if I go back is one thing, but if I go forward, I got something else. So every movement that you learn can be switched to offense as easily as it is used as the defense. Now what are these? What are these? Kick. Right, so now if I kick and I kick this way and kick his leg, can it be a block also? Eventually, if you start on a kick and I kick it, that same kick could be employed as a what? Block. As a block. It doesn't have to solely be used as an offense. Alright. Now, let's go into the word light. L-I-G-H-T. What does it mean to you? Light. Okay, now if you and I were in a conversation, and the word light came into our conversation, and in the corner was a guy 5 foot tall, 300 pounds, and the word light came into our conversation. What do you think he might have thought about conversation? About him, right? But what he wasn't, correct? He was the opposite of, right? He's heavy, he's not light. So the word light then could mean illumination. It can mean what? Heaviness, the opposite of heaviness. Guy stripped from Jamaica comes up here and hears you talk. What do you think he might interpret the word light to mean? Complexion, light and dark. Correct? Is there any other definition that we could use for the word light?
You don't have a lot of money.
Light means the opening of the mind, enlightenment. You know, see, the light hit me, man. I got this idea. Okay, but there we have the word L-I-G-H-T, and yet we find that it has 3 or 4 definitions. Can we make motion have 2 or 3 definitions? Yes, we can. Overhead. Okay, this is what? This up. Defense. Right? If I use that move as it came up, would that move not be a defense? Now, supposing he grabbed me. Like I came back and I pinned his arm, and I came up and I stepped. Is that not the same move at a lower level? Where I came up and then snapped his arm? But one little thing, I use this hand as a pull. But this is the same move. Just as this was. at a lower level. Now, what's the definition for it? Huh? It was a defensive offense because while I was trying to defend myself, his arm broke. Okay? So a defensive offense, correct? So what was this? Strict defense. What was this? Defensive offense. Now supposing he's a typical American that yaps. So we find in Hawaii, we hit first and then we pop later. Right? That's the way we grew up. See? The philosophy I grew up with, and I'm sure you guys when you're young in Cuba, the philosophy is, hey man, you might get a main dish on me today, but as long as I get a sandwich on the way down, I'll come back another day for my main dish. That's the philosophy. Then too, the philosophy we're living today on the street is, it's not who's right, but who's left that counts. Alright? That's correct. Now, I'm going to show you a third way you can use the same move to get a different definition, just like the word L-I-G-H-T. If the guy was talking to me, can I not come up with an uppercut, continue and hit him with the elbow? Now, if I do the same move this way, what have I got? Aggressive offense, because I was the aggressor when I was offensive. That was an aggressive offense because I was the aggressor in my being offensive. Three definitions? Yes. Now, you see the value of what I'm saying? How often do we teach beginners? Well, we teach them that when a guy grabs, you can counter grab, step in, and break it down. By golly, you get to do it. He says, Mom, look at me, Mom. And what happens? This grab, all of a sudden, gets transplanted here. And what do you find the guy doing now? Panic. Doesn't know what to do. Well, a grab goes here, providing you have head. And not wearing a headpiece. Right? What does the guy do? He panics. Not realizing that the answer he had here, which was counter grabbing here, was the same answer that could have been here, because that same grab transplanted from there to here, pin and break. Back, pin with the break. Now, all I want you to do is see in time the similarity of movements, where the same basic move and the same basic principle can be employed in several circumstances, although there are different grabs in different areas. Okay? So many of us see things differently, but I want you to see the relationship. It makes a heck of a lot more sense. How many of you guys have kicking stuff for a head up for a full ounce? Remember that? Kick stuff for a full ounce. Don't you have that? You kick with your right, come on up to the shin. Huh? Right? Now, so you get this, right? Kicking stuff. Good. Again. Alright? Now, the minute somebody grabs your district, what do you find guys doing? Hey, it ain't the same grab. What I do? Kick stuff. Even if it's a half full nothing like this, what do? Kick, yes. Don't panic. Thank you very much. Alright, does this make sense to you? Okay, now let's relate the martial arts to the spoken language and the written language that we know. Then let's relate it to music, which is another language. Okay? Language and sound, okay? Alright, now, why do you think when you guys learn to block, you have your cock, your arm block, cock the arm and block? How many times some of you have gone home who your father have had boxing experience? Say, kid, who in the world teach you how to cock the arm? By the time you cock, I should have left jab into you in the face before you had time to block. What is your answer to your dad who says that? What is the answer for your instructor? What is the answer for yourself? Why do you think we have you cock your arm before you block? Anybody? More power? More power? More power means more time. More time means more openings. Why? Very simple, gentlemen. Let's go back to second grade now, when I was forced to learn the English language. Okay, how do we learn to speak English? Phonetics, right? It wasn't cat, rat, bat. It was cat, rat, rat, bat, hat. Correct? Through phonetics, syllables, we learn the English language. Is that not right? Now, when we teach you movement, you're learning the phonetics of motion. But tell me, as after you learn the phonetics, do we speak to each other phonetically? We don't. Oh, I see. Then are we supposed to phonetically do our movements from day one to the time we become proficient? No. We want you as students to realize that when you phonetically do your moves, you learn what actual maximum power is from you. Okay? In time, you can shoot that power. You can get the same power, but this acts as a gauge for you to know what that feeling and that experience is like to get maximum power. And from here, boom, am I getting the same? But now, did I go through phonetics to get there? Phonetics taught me how to articulate my motion, how to enunciate and pronounce my motion. See? That's important. Okay? Another volunteer, please. I need you by later, okay? Kind of look bad when I pick that one. He was really nice to me yesterday. So, okay. Right. Say this was an alphabet. This is an alphabet. That was an alphabet. This is an alphabet. Say this is the alphabet F, A, C, E. What did I do with that arm? Spell face. Spell face. What is the word? What is face? A word? Yeah. So I can put several bases in using my right arm to form a word of motion. Okay? But like in Kenpo, the word "and" is a very dirty word in my vocabulary. Now, how many of you have seen where in jiu-jitsu they grab and they twist before injury occurs? Now, if I was grabbed and while he's making the hand, my fist fills its face. That's a commercial break, man. I don't want commercial. Okay, we don't want the word "and." So in the actuality, if I went F and A and C and E, I got a problem because I'm having a commercial break in between. So what I do, while I'm making F with this, I'm making meat with the other. You know what I'm saying? Bang! It's right in between these movements. My other hand is constantly making another word. Right? And then my foot comes up and makes another word. Now what have I got? Definition motion. I do a sentence on him and one on him, what have I got? Paragraph. How many of you see Bruce Lee? He came up with a thesis in this show, correct? Alright. Now you get to understand what I'm saying? Alright, now let's go back to something else. Let's change from alphabets to numbers. I'm going to tell you right now one of the most important things that you'll ever learn about Kenpo. If you forget what I'm going to tell you, then you lost the whole thing. It's more important that you learn 4 moves and learn to rearrange them at least 24 ways rather than learn 24 moves just one way. Understand what I'm saying? Okay. Now, let me show you. We're going to change FAC to 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? We're going to change it to numbers now. What have I got? 1. What is this number? What is that?
3.
What is it? 4. Now, if this hand was down, 1, 2, 3, 4 would work, correct? If this hand as we punched was hit, would 1 work?
Yes.
Would 2 work?
No.
What about 3?
No.
So if I went from 1 to 4, and he got it, we dropped down, then went to 3 and to 2, would it work?
Yes, sir.
Were they all different movements? No, they were different movements. What did I do? They're the same movements I showed you.
Rearrange them.
I rearranged them. Why? Because circumstance demanded it. The circumstance altered my path. But they were same movements that I learned. They were different. The only difference was the arrangement of it, not the movement itself. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, if this be the case then, if we only had 4 numbers, how many ways can we rearrange 4 numbers and never use the same combination twice? 16? Okay, let's find out how to get it, okay? This is number 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? What is that number? This, that. 1 times 2? What is that number? 2 times 3? What is the answer? 6 times what? What's the answer? 24 ways you can rearrange 4 moves, never ever coming up with the same combination twice. Okay? Now if I added 1 more move, a 5th move, 24 times what? 5. What would you have? 120 moves. 120 variations. That's a heck of a lot of variations. You understand me now? Okay. How many of you know music? Anybody? Anybody know music? Good. How many of you like music? You don't know how to read music, do you? Who knows how to read music? Only one. You. Okay? Little bit. What does a flat do to a note? A what now? What did I ask you? Yeah.
The what?
Okay, fine. What did it do? It lowered the note half step. It lowers the note, right? What does a sharp do? Okay, you know it's the opposite, right? A sharp heightens the note a half step, correct? So what does the flat do? And a sharp? Okay, now let's show you this. Let's supposing my hand represented a knife, and this was the knife edge that my knife edge that I have was equivalent to the knife edge of the knife, and the sharpened edge of the knife. Okay? If I had this knife and I did this to his throat, what would it do? If I got that same knife and I hit it with the side of the knife, what would it do? It wouldn't cut it, would it? Okay. If I then use a sharp weapon, like a sharp in a note, I raise the damage. If I use a flat weapon, I lower a damage. So like in music, where sharp raises the note, a sharp weapon raises the damage. When I use a flat weapon, it lowers the damage. Identical to music, isn't it? You understand me? Alright. Thank you very much. Alright. These are the things I want you to start understanding. The parallels of what we already understand already in past history. Okay, let's go still to another. Alright? Put your left foot forward and left inward. Okay, now I want you guys, or any one of you, to tell me how to get a maximum punch from here. I want to see your interpretation and your version of obtaining a maximum punch with your right hand. Okay? Let me see your interpretations or style, because from the system you develop your own style. Okay, of doing movements. Alright, let's see you do it. Move. Okay, now some of you step forward. Some of you stood in place, okay, and pivoted your hips. Now, how many would say that stepping forward gives you more power than staying in place? Which of the two would give you more power? Staying with your waist? Let's see, show of hands, the waist. Okay, what about stepping forward? What about, I don't care? Or what about, what don't you tell me? More like that. Alright, let's go back again to something again we're familiar with, okay? Some of you are too young to remember back to World War II, okay? Now, I was old enough, okay, I was 12 years old when I witnessed December 7th, when I witnessed the bombing of Pearl Harbor. I was there, I lived 3 miles from Pearl Harbor, I saw the planes come in, I saw the ships go down. It was quite an experience for me. But during those days, when an airplane left the deck of an aircraft carrier, the carrier would head into the wind and put full steam ahead in the hope that it would develop more air current, so that craft could get off the deck of the airplane, because during those days when they were loaded with bombs, it was important that the plane get off the deck. Okay? Today, what do we find? What do we have on a modern day aircraft carrier? Catapult? I'm waiting. Jets? Yeah. Isn't there two factors that occur? In addition to the catapult, you catapult a jet off the deck and then the jet engine stops? Or does the engine stop simultaneously so that jointly they work together, you get that plane off the deck? Would you agree to that? So you got a catapult and you got the thrust of the engine of the aircraft jointly and harmonizing their efforts to get that craft off the deck, right? Alright, now let us now make the parallel of that principle and see how we could derive more power in our blows. Okay? Some of you say that from here, if you stay in place, shut the air, you get more power. I say that for you to do this way, it's like the plane of old who left the deck on its own power. But now, let me shuffle. This, where the lower half of my body acts as a catapult on the aircraft carrier, so jointly together with my weapon, they travel harmoniously together in the same direction, where I utilize my body behind my action, so that momentum now, body momentum becomes part of the action. Would you not say that I have more power using my lower half of the body as a catapult simultaneous with my motion? You'd say that? I'll tell you, that's true. But a factor that's more important is what I'm going to show you. Now, people say that when you punch, that you got to draw your left hand back, because what law is applied?
Action reaction.
Newton's law. To every action is an equal and opposite reaction. Okay? Now that law might apply to one thing, but it don't apply to fighting. How many of you have heard of Aristotle? What about Galileo? Who is Aristotle? What? Philosopher? What else did he say about two objects, one being heavier than the other, dropped at the same time, okay, in atmospheric conditions? Huh? What did Aristotle say? The larger one would hit first. And it was Galileo who said, that is not so. He went to the leaning tower of Pisa, and 3 times he proved that the heavy and the light bulb hit the ground at the same time. But what did the people do? They said, hey man, there's Aristotle. In his own handwriting, it says there. And how many of us are sucky enough to believe what we read? We're suckers for that. But if you believe that Kenpo history in the latest, you're a sucker to believe it. Okay? Because there's a lot of discrepancies in there. Right? But they said, what happened to the guy? Well, it was for political reasons, but Galileo was put in prison, that poor guy. But you know, he was right. But Galileo could have been right if one thing occurred. What do you think that would have been? I'm going to tell you what it is, okay? If I was to put up on the wall the body positioning, range, or environment, and ask you of those three titles, or three topics, which in your estimation would you put as top priority? Distance from your man, position from your man, or the environment? What would you list as number one? Huh? Why? Yeah? How?
How you can move. How many other
Sure.
people are-
Like if this was the edge of a cliff here, and there was a big 1,000-foot drop here, and your man was on the other cliff there, I'd say, hey man, take 2 steps forward. What would happen? Huh? You what? Well, what's that cartoon we see those, what do you call it? Road runner? You see that, right? That's environment. You know? I said, hey, kid, take a poke just a minute. Close the door. Now take a poke. Can you hear me? You put the door between you. There wasn't earlier. Now what's happened? Environment. You and I up in Alaska, 60 degrees below zero. We're in the bar and the guy gets smart with us. He said, take off your top. You take the strip down. I keep my top on and just step out. 60 below. I kind of move around now. And what's happening? Environment will get me, right? Now, going back to Galileo and Aristotle. When would have Aristotle been correct? What he said? If the environmental condition was different, what's the condition? Vacuum. If what he said occurred in a vacuum, he would have been right. The heavy one would have hit before the lighter one. But he was wrong on the atmospheric condition. Galileo was right. The damn fools were both right under different conditions. You see? Now, this is the popular. Forget about Newton, because let me tell you what's going to happen to Newton's law on the street. If this man blocked my right arm with his left, and shot a right punch when this left hand went out and used Newton's law, shoot the punch to the lips, and this went back. Okay? Now, what will these actions cause? Reaction. So now, supposing he blocked, and according to them, I moved, and my finger caught his eyeball because of his action causing it. Could that not occur? You bet it could. So, would you not then say that this Newton's law is so concentrated on offense, they completely forgot about defense? Is not defense part of fighting? Now, it is. You know, because of some of the tournaments, I've seen guys that say, man, I'm going to get these points. So the guy punches in you and can't make contact, you get disqualified. They put their face out there, they get hit, hey, the guy gets disqualified. So they win that way by sticking their face up. I've seen that happen. Alright, now, right? So now, if I brought this hand back and my action caused the reaction, he's reacting like technology, correct? Huh? Alright, so if I did what I told you earlier, where I used the bottom half of my body to shuffle with the punch, could I then not afford to leave this hand here to prevent this from coming in? What else is happening? The cue ball is ready for the next shot. Right? Position. Back to position. Okay? Now, am I making sense to some of you? Alright. Let's see who's got the fastest hands here. I mean, guy can really block fast. Anybody with fast hands? Nobody? Who?
I'm sporting a Brian.
You don't volunteer somebody else. That's a bad habit. Let's put back. Let's put back. Either right foot back, let's put back or right foot forward. In either case it works. Your right hand up. Right? My right hand is up. I'm going to touch you on the chin. Come back with my right hand. And all you have to do is come about 4 inches to the rocket. Okay? And I'm traveling how many inches? 15? About 15. Okay? So you ready? Buck. Did I touch you before you buck?
Yes.
Did I touch you?
Yeah.
Okay. I can do this all day and he's probably going. But you know he's not slow. It's just that action is faster than reaction. And I'm going to prove to you what I'm saying by doing a little illustration. And then we'll see what we can do to have reaction, react. So I have an action, react.
Good run.
I'm proud of you, Brian.
I can tell you better than young.
Okay, here's how you do it, Dylan. Okay, I'm going to relate a story to you right now, okay? A gentleman who went up to San Francisco, got through with his meeting, went to Chinatown, which is a tourist place, and as he went among the curio shops, he saw this beautiful fan, which he paid 50 cents for. Okay? He bought this fan for his lovely daughter, knowing that she would like to have a present of his recent visit to California, to Northern California. After taking the fan home and giving it to his daughter, and after the daughter used it for about a week, that fan broke into 100 pieces. He was not too happy about it, so he put all the broken pieces into a package and was determined on his next trip to look up that proprietor and get his money back. So when he went up, got done with his business, looked up the proprietor, and said, "Hey, Chinaman, look what you did, man. Look at this. Brought out all the broken pieces. I paid you good money for this, and it broke into 100 pieces." The Chinese man said, "How much are you paying for fan?" He said, "I paid 50 cents for it." When you buy 50-cent fan, you must put it in front of face. He said, "Only $1 fan. You pay $1, you can do this." Okay, now I want you to have a 50-cent fan. Okay? And what I say about the 50-cent fan? That's right. Now I want you to leave your hand there. And the minute I touch your jaw, go to touch your jaw, I want you to move your head over. That's all, just slightly over. But leave this hand without moving it a fraction of an inch. Okay? Can I meet you? Can I get you? And why? Because the last thing that I have to reach is the first thing that you're moving out of the way of. Will I beat it? I will not. You understand it? Yes. So now, don't feel bad that I can touch you every time if you use the $1 fan. If you use that 50-cent fan, you're going to be okay. Right? Okay, you know what I'm teaching? Trying to teach you? Logic. Simple logic. There's no mystery to all this. You know, like these forms we have in Kung Fu. Man, you see these circles, right? Looks good, huh? What's it for? Because in the days of the monks, just before they had to fight, they had to lift their robes up, grab it, and tuck it under their belt before they fought. That's why. Sometimes you used to see them do this. See? Because some of them they already had the rope off, and they just open it this way and kick it. But when you don't know these things, wow, he's done. The mystery of it all intrigues him, you know? Like the other night I was showing Jeff this farm, you know? What's that? I said, put my pants on in the morning. Right? Man, it looks pretty good. Huh? Don't get baffled by emotion and movement. Please. It has to be practiced. Okay? And the guy that thinks common sense, the guy that'll win on the street. Secondly, when you guys, so many, your instructors here teach you and give you rank when they think you're ready. There are other schools that give rank so that you keep coming to them and filling their pockets. Now I want to tell you, the rank doesn't match the knowledge that's up here. It's just no more than a display. It's valueless with no value. It's like a guy whose son couldn't swim, but he being a swimming instructor gave his son a certificate which said that he was an expert swimmer. And when the ship began to sink, and the kid started to go into the water, he pulled out his certificate and said, "Water, you can't drown me because my daddy said on this paper that I'm an expert swimmer." Does the water listen to what the certificate has to say? So now, does the belt listen to what the mind can't tell it to do? Nah. You have to have knowledge. You gotta learn. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And when you learn your basics, learn how, why, what do you do it, how you can use the same move for different situations. Because then you're expanding on your knowledge that you already know and seeing the many diversified ways in which you can use it. That's what's important. Because there's no two situations alike, and we want you to become extemporaneous with your movements, which is a term where you don't have to use a script. You know for yourself, contrary to what you guys do in high school and college, they don't work on the street. What do you do in high school and college? Time for a test? Open the door. Got the answer, you write the answer. Right? What's under here, right? You look on your thumb, because you wrote small little answers in the nail. As soon as you got the answer, you rubbed it out. Destroy the evidence, right? You guys laugh because you know you've been through that. We've all been through that. Correct? Now, point is, how many of us on the street are waiting to right back? Just a minute. Shoot. Hey, don't work that way, does it? No. So we're going to try to teach you guys how to do that. How to grab you around the neck. Same answer could be employed, no matter what. You see? Don't get caught up. But why do we show techniques?
Well, if they get to the spring. If they get to the spring.
Why do you teach about the way you move? You're increasing your vocabulary of motion to see the amount of variables that you have. Because time will come. None of the techniques we show you are rules, they're ideas. You see, none of the things that we show you might be ever used in the sequence that we show you. One of these days, you might use movement number 3 out of technique number 20 and bring it together with movement number 2 out of technique number 2. And you may be able to create your own, sequence of movements because that's what the situation calls for at the moment. Okay, and you randomly pick them. And that's what we're trying to do to you. We're not trying to make robots out of it. We're trying to make individuals out of it. And that's what Kenpo is all about. It's making the art suit to you what you do. Let's do some techniques. Alright? Let's pick some techniques that you guys are familiar with. Some of you come up, explain, demonstrate it to me. And I want to see what you do. Okay? And then we'll tear it apart and see what principles are employed, how we can enhance it, so we get a more complete understanding of the principles and concepts that lie within these techniques. We get a better understanding. Because once you understand the principles that are underlying within these techniques, and you come up again with them later, you then become self-correcting. There'll never be a time when you do a move, and if you understand principles, where you cannot devise your own moves, whereby you're incorrect. You will be self-correcting. Let's have a technique. Anybody? Anyone? Pick a technique.
High score.
Okay, fine, so good. Use somebody else from your school. And remember, his control will be
Turn sideways.
right? Okay, what are you hitting on that back?
Do the whole thing of it, yeah.
More to the back of it. Good. All right. Now I see something here that's minor to you, but it's going to be a major thing to you, okay? Now, come over here. I want you to chop my hand with all your might. With your thumb the way you would chop it, like that. Oh, that's not the way you had your thumb. You chop it, your thumb up like that. Okay, come on. I want you to chop me with your thumb up. Okay, chop. Again. You chop me with the thumb in. Which feels stronger? Why?
Because my head is a hole.
Your hand is a hole, right? And your energy is flowing back into this. You see, this generates back into the circle. Okay, a simple thing like this makes a difference. Okay? Now you think I'm nitpicking, but I'm not. Okay, you've got to keep your thumb in like that. Later on, you don't not only keep your thumb in like that, you will find that by chopping this way, then this gets hard. Okay? But your hand is like this. Okay? How many of you have seen demonstrations like this? That's a damn good ad for constipation, and not only an ad for constipation, but what did he do? He came doing nothing the first time around, hoping that nothing occurred before he comes in the second time. How many of you seen this? You are right. Okay. Shopping and coming out doing nothing. Now, hey, let me tell you about something. During a regular work day, what do when we're at work? We brown bag it. You know what brown bagging is? You get your little brown bag with your sandwich, you eat that and fast food. That's about it for lunch, right? What do you do on the weekends? When you take your wife out or your girlfriend or both? Huh? What do? And you take them cocktails. Then pretty soon, super salad. Now, what do you take them? Right? Then you go to what? On the main dish. And if you're still not too full, what do? And after that, you're still not too full, what do? After dinner, liqueur. Right? Terrific. Influence the wife or girlfriend, right? So the wife don't grab her kiss, so the girlfriend still thinks you love her. Right? Now, is that the main dish? Likewise, when I'm fighting, I ought to do the same thing. Let me show you about something. Another guy, there's several things that you gotta watch. When I look at an opponent, I look at an opponent like a butcher looks at a piece of meat. Here, it's filet mignon, short rib, rump roast. He sees all of that before he sets it all up. That's what I like to do when I look at my opponent. Because when you look at an opponent, you have to consider several things, as I had discussed with you earlier. In terms of getting your stats, you have to do what good? When you get your stats, what do you have to do? Get the proper what? Width, and then depth, and height, right? Likewise, I like to look at my opponent whereby I got a straight line down his nose, his body. And I've got two more lines here so that I got a quarter, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. Okay? Then I divide his body so that I have from here on up, from here on down, and from here. So that I have width zones and height zones to contend with. Okay? So now that I know about his width and his height, what else do I have?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the control. Now, if he was in a fighting stance, what would have happened to his width zone? It'd be like a Venetian blind, right? It's thinned down, correct? Now, in order for Jeff to hit with maximum power, He's thinning his body down to make my efforts fruitless in terms of hitting a target, right? But now he has to hit a target with his fist. What must he do to get maximum power with his right punch? He has to turn his body. He has to get the proper width to hit. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? So now, okay, Jeff, go to the face. Okay. Now, go to the face. Go to the face. Go to the face. What am I doing to Jeff? I'm keeping his wood zone from coming forward. He can't do nothing. Can you hear me? No. So Jeff, control my wood zone. I'm going to punch. Okay, you? There one. Control. Okay? But what now? Hey, he controlled my wood zone, but what didn't he control? My height. He didn't control my height. That's why I was able to come up with a kick. So now what must I do to control both width and height? Any pull-ups in our list? This is a pull-up. You know what they have standard for you? Because when you ask them a question, they go, and when you give them the answer, right? Time I see some of you going, like, before even you ask me a question, what? Back to my question. What is my question? How do you control his height as well as his width? How do you prevent him from kicking the way I did with Jeff? But see, if I did this with Jeff, punch. Now, did Jeff kick me? Yeah, he didn't kick me. Alright, now Jeff kicked me. What have I done? I went diagonally down. Punch me. Kick me. That is out of it. Okay, because at that moment, what did I do? By diagonally pulling his arm down, I momentarily canceled his width and his height. And during the time of cancellation, bam, I hit the same time. I make sure I take advantage of my nail, okay? So now I just discussed a single method of controlling his width and his height zone for that at the moment. He's immobile to strike. And before you know it, you got it, okay? There's another thing with that called obscure zone. You know what an obscure zone is? I'll tell you what an obscure zone is. How many of you guys, like in California, man, I hit that freeway, and I got a heavy foot. I'm hitting 80 miles an hour, looking at the rearview mirror, no cop! All of a sudden, I find out he's in my blind spot all along. Okay? That's an obscure zone. That sucker knew how to get in my obscure zone. So then even when I looked at it in the rearview mirror, I couldn't spot him. They're very smart that way. They got pulled over. The last time I got a ticket, that way. Okay? Now, let me show you what an obscure zone is. As soon as I check his width and his height, okay, I come right up from here. Usually an obscure zone is that zone within his peripheral eyesight. You know, he can only see. And if you slip a shot in from here, he's going to say, where did that midget come from? Okay? Now, so we just talked about ways we control width and height. And when we talked about an obscure zone, say this is another obscure zone. We used to do it away. Some guys used to grab it. As they pull back, they hit with the left. Because it's coming from where he can't see it. You see what I'm saying? That's an obscure zone. Okay? Now let's go back, and I'm working for the last thing we talked about, which is depth. Right? That's what it's for. If we're fighting, how many of you guys see the guy trying to get a face, a stomach, or the ribs? He wants to go right away for the main dish. And as he's going for the main dish, he gets the soup on the way in. He gets the soup on my way in to get it. Right? Okay? Now, let me discuss the 3 different ways of writing the English language. One is to do what with it? Print. Is that not a way to write the English language? Print. What's the next way? Cursive or script. And what's the third way? Right? Shorthand. No, I'm saying writing, not an instrument. Actual hand. Shorthand, correct? Shoot away. What's this? Shoot away. Shoot away. What's this? What's that? What kind of motion is that? Printed motion. Right? Stop one action to start the other. Correct? That's what printed motion is. Is that the way you print? You stop one action before you start another when you print the language? Now, Shidoi, what did you do earlier? Shidoi. What's that? Cursive motion. Correct? You may have to retrace the same path, but it nevertheless flows. You don't stop one action, you stop the other. Should have left. Now, what's this? This should have been done. If I block you, go right on it. What is that? Huh? I still have to come and follow the feedback. Now, he shot a left, and I did this. Where I trust this, shot a left. Now, what is that? In a single motion, I have a dual effect. Now, that's shorthand motion. You understand me? Okay, likewise, in time, that's what you do with an opponent. No sense going over, around, or under to a main dish when you could have gotten, okay, cocktail, soup and salad, the main dish, and dessert on the way up. Okay, because when I continue to hit everything that's here, what am I doing to his depth zones? Can he hit when he's getting hit all of that? Can he hit back? See, that's how you control the depth zone. Make sense to you? Likewise, then, if I'm going in with a chop, why do you want to come out doing nothing? When I could have come in, take an eye on the way out and get a dessert. Correct? Man, that's what Kenpo is all about. He found the emotion. Right? Guys got a toothache, stomp him on the toe. They ache so much that he'll forget all about the toothache. Divert his attention, help him. Hey, when a guy says he's right there, he can't see. You thinking about hitting back? Heck no, he's not. You're thinking about other opportunities that you have to keep hitting back at him. Right? Stop checking forth. Third and fourth. Like we do in Hawaii, guys. In the islands, you never get full from eating. We only stop eating when our jaws get tight and tuned. Alright. Hope we get good food tonight. Okay, let's do 5 counts. We're 45 swords right now. And then I'm going to go back again to what I told you. The technique are no more than ideas. Alright, everybody know this 5 swords? When you come on the above part of the elbow, you can still look at it because it's still second. So you have to stay below it. Okay, right from here, in, up, here, then, boom. Okay? Now, let's analyze this food and see what I had said earlier and how what I said earlier applies to technique. What did I tell you techniques were? Were they rules? Ideas. You know what? Ideas. What is this bull that he's throwing? A right punch, right? What are we doing to that right punch? Blocking, and then what? You do it to me. I'll take it. Okay? You block. Do the same one. Do the technique. Block. Right? Then one. Then one. Then one. Uppercut. And move. Right? Now supposing you thought he was going to shoot the right, and he shoots the left, and you stop the action. Would it still work? Good. You were right the first time. And don't let me change your mind. Would it work? Would it work? Yes. What would this? Touch. The sequence be the same? Yeah. See, if I thought his right was coming, all of a sudden he shot a left. Shot a left instead, and I blocked. Could I not work the same thing? Could I not? Yeah, you can. Only thing is, I work on the outside rather than the inside. And because the fact that he's saying the same movements are work, but the target's different. Okay? Now, what are we doing when we do techniques? When you learn a technique in class, what are we teaching you? How to become defensive before you become offensive. If you notice, everything that happens, the other guy is instigating. Correct? Does this have to be true in a real fight? No. Now supposing Jeff is over here and just feeling me out. Who's doing this? Like this is bang! Could I not stop him? Boom, bam, and hit him? I could instigate. I don't have to wait for the punch to come in. I can start it off. Okay? Right. Now let's analyze even further and elaborate on what I told you about ideas. The first move was what? Defense. Then from that point on, what occurred? Offense. I became an offensive freak. Defense and offensive, right? Okay, now, supposing I came in here, I almost was going to wait to here, but all of a sudden, no sooner than I hit this, I see the left hand come. This hand would have gone there, now switches there. What now have I converted that hand in? Which was originally intended to be an offense.
Defense.
Right, is that not the same move? Only if he's directed elsewhere?
So,
alright, now, as soon as I come here and I miss going there because that's the in and I did this, what's the follow-up?
figure technique.
Does it change?
No, sir.
I can continue to do the sequence, but supposing his reaction was a lot slower than I anticipated, I was 1, 2, and when I was on the 2, I saw the left hand. Okay? Now what is the third move?
And so parry. Wow.
So the third move was what?
A finger technique.
Right, now, I boom, I'm here and I see this hand coming. I switch the finger technique to here. Boom, I continue the same motion. Correct? So at any given time, since the techniques we show you are ideas and not rules, what can you do with them? Alter them. Alter the weapon, but the principle of motion is the same. The sequence of motion is the same. And you alter the target. Okay? There's nothing difficult in Kenpo. Sophisticated, yes. Difficult, no. And what is sophistication? Simplicity compounded. Right? What's the word that Julie Andrews used in Mary Poppins? I can't even say what you say. Super what? Man, that's a tongue twister for me. But what is it? No more than one outfit compounded. So that's a long word, but it still goes back to the simple one. Outfit. But it's strung out in a manner which we're not accustomed. And that's what Kenpo is all about. Nothing difficult. Sophisticated, yes. As we get on and we start learning, I'm going to tell you there's 3 types of people that exist in the world today. Those who make it happen, those who let it happen, and those who ask, what the hell happened? Okay? I hope that as we learn from each other, Mr. Solange comes down and I come in with help, your instructor, that you're the guy that will take and be someone that makes it happen and not let it happen. Because if you let it happen, you're going to end up being the third guy. This is what the hell happened. Alright? You can remember that. How much time we got there? 5 o'clock. 5.
Okay.
Okay? 1. Back again. 1. What's this for? Right foot back, please, not the left foot. Back again. Move. Okay, some of you guys look like you're on a crest of a wave. Just about ready to get your belt. What are you guys doing? Stay here, okay? Don't come back. Alright? 2 is to go with your right leg stiffen and chop with this hand. This hand chop. Right like this. Okay? Now 1, 2. Back to 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 stop. Listen. I want. Come on, I know you guys do it. Back again. When I say 1, I didn't say like they say in the shop. Do that? The 1. I just make it bad. 1. Back. 1. I tell you guys to do this like you mesmerizing the guy, you know? It's simple. Back again. Go. Come on now. I see some of you guys can held up lately. Not this one. It's this way. Back again. I heard Miami's famous for a hold up. I move. That's it. Back again. Move. 2. There was 2. 2 is to go over the forward ball where your right leg is stiff. So it gives you more reach, it gives you more power. Okay, 3, drop back to your neutral ball and shoot up here. Okay, so from 1, 2, 3. Okay, you go right back to position. 1, 2, 3. Back again. 1, 2, 3. Some of you have a slow ear. You're hearing me in slow motion. Back again. See, I'm gonna intermittently change the pulse of what I'm saying. Okay, 1, 2, 3. That's it. Back again. 1, 2, 3. See, I'm changing the pulse. All right, back again. 1, 2, 3. 4 is 1. Right here. 1, 2, 3. Right. Okay. All right. This 1, 2, 3. 4. Wait. Back again. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back again. Come on, now, you guys. My grandmother was faster than you the day she died. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Back again. The left hand is down. Please don't have your left hand up here. Don't have your left hand up. What was this for? I'm pushing. I'm trying to choke. Or I'm trying to grab. That's what it's for. He drops back. Okay? 2.
Yes.
3, 4. See, I want that man down here that's going to count. You know? Do you want to continue your family name? Listen. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back again. 4. Back again. All right. Full speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. Please. Okay, so you can open your eyes. Back again. See you guys are doing. Get it right? And back again. Move back. Let's go. Come on. When I say move, I want you to move all 4 counts. Move back. Let's go. Okay, let's see some Kia. You know what a Kia is? What's a Kia? Huh? What's the purpose of a Kia? Maybe I'll ask you that question.
When you come into a taxi, spending.
What does the Kia do in terms of benefiting you? Huh? Scare the guy. How many of you guys say it scares the guy? The yell and the loudness of the yell scares them? He's deaf and dumb now. What happened? And his power. Huh? And his power. He's deaf. Ah! And he looks at you. Yeah! You guys not moving. So it doesn't necessarily mean that's the last thing on the list, is the fact that it scares you guys. What are the benefits that you derive, okay, rather than what occurs to the opponent?
Good people blow.
Huh?
Good people blow you in your stomach.
Okay, you know, actually a lot of you play football, what have you. Some of you guys are playing, carrying the ball, about to be tackled. What do? When you're about to be tackled? You run? Don't you? What does it do? You said it. Fortifies the body. Okay, but the most important thing is, the first thing it does is what I'll show you. Let's have a volunteer here. Anybody else? Somebody big. Okay. Alright, I want you to inhale. Okay, what happens? When you inhale and you have the air up with you, what happens? I can push you, right? I'll come back and answer you. Can I move them? No. So what is the number one thing? Stability. That's the primary thing. When you exhale, you become stable, man. It's like two spikes. Shoot the ground and hold you there, man. Otherwise, if you don't exhale, you be float. Do you understand? Requires you to fade back, not move toward the unknown. Alright, let's suppose we'll just work with that. We're going to work with the term cover. In this case, your left foot should move to the right side as you then face to the rear mirror. Cover. Okay, now what foot do you move? Left to right foot. The next time around. To what side? To your left side, and you turn and face what side? Your left. Move. Okay, now what foot do you move? Left to right. Move. To the right. Turn to face the right opposite direction. Move. Okay, now as you notice, if you continue to do this, what consistent thing is occurring? You're constantly moving in one direction. Alright, now, I want you to switch. What's switch? That's right. Switch. Stay in place and just put your. That's right. Okay, now switching means change your stance while in place, still looking at the same direction. Cover means to look into the opposite direction. Alright? Cover. No. What foot should it move? Left. No. Right should move. Cover. Cover. Now what's happening? You continue to move to where? To your right. Cover. Switch. Cover. 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 Now what are you doing? Continue to move to your left. You understand me? You understand what I'm saying? Okay, it's important that we learn how to cover, we learn how to switch. Okay? Again, later on you'll learn switching. Oftentimes it's best to pay back before you switch in. Why should you go toward your man sometimes? Depends on the distance. Okay, back further. Alright, now we go back to our original what we're trying to do. We shuffle and elbow. See? The left elbow that hits, not the right elbow, the left elbow that's hitting now. Coming forward. Switch, not cover. Switch, still facing the same direction. Feet are facing the same direction. Face me still. Face me still. Okay, now you should be hitting with your left elbow. Cut. Now you go in the opposite direction using your right elbow. Now you see when we switch. Okay, it's important as we start to learn the basics that we learn these basics with the proper terminology associated with it, and also to start learning these foot maneuvers, which so enhances your movements and obtaining maximum power. There is no stronger strike than to have your entire body moving with the action. Okay? Alright, once again, going forward, the elbow. Alright, this time, instead of striking with the rear elbow, I want you to shuffle coming forward with the forward elbow. Come. Still using the forward elbow, which is the left elbow. Okay, why do you use that inside? Why do you use that? To make it sound better? Savage, that's correct. Okay, I'm going to end with a couple of stories today I think about. I had a guy putting on a demonstration between, I can't remember what it was, but there's about between 250 to 300 people. When two Korean stylists came up, they didn't like the fact, or they contested the fact that I was kidding myself when I did my movements. But before I tell you what I did to them, let me explain to you why I do what I do. Now, you notice every time I teach my students, I always teach them to slap themselves as they block. Because I use that as a tool to check and synchronize his timing. So that when this foot plants, this hand should be hitting at the same time this is hitting. Both foot and hand should simultaneously make contact. One with the weapon, the other with the ground. If it's bam, 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 you're off time. If it's bam, 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 it's off time. Bam, that'll be together. I use it again as a tool to teach timing. But in time, when a punch comes, this hand doesn't slap, but what does it become? Third. Yeah, because if this hand is more than I anticipated, if this hand starts going before it hits, you see? Now, is it a wasted motion? No! It is a what? A minor move that sets me up and allows my major move to make contact if it's slower than I anticipated. Okay? Now, I also had these guys, as I pointed out, they use block punch. So I went 1, 2, 3, bing. I hit him on the other side. Because he's trying to make an ass out of me, right? I hit him hard enough so that he felt. Then I showed him why we slapped the elbow. Because why are we slapping it? Because we're sandwiching the jaw in. That's why we're doing it. Okay? But that's not to say that after we sandwich, we got a dessert on the way out. Right? That's not all those guys do. You know what he did? After I hit him, we do that again. Once we do it again to them. So I went 1, 2, but as soon as I did this, I could see his left arm coming to check my elbow. Switch right to it. Boom. Actually, you do it the second time around, he knows what to anticipate. So what I tell him, like me, I never hit the same place twice. Anyway, I'm going to leave you one story before I conclude. I hope so you really take this into consideration, what you're doing, what you're learning, and really see that it's really nothing hard. It takes time and practice. Some of this comes easy for us. Some comes hard. Always remember, sometimes if it takes you twice as long to remember what you're learning, it'll take twice as long for you to forget it. Sometimes quick to learn, quick to forget. So in the long run, who's better off? And hopefully many of you will strive to become black belts. But if you do, I want you to become black belts like Lincoln was a black belt in my estimation. The late President Lincoln was once hated by a guy named Sam Brown, who looked for every opportunity to fight with him, for whatever reason he didn't know. But one day, Sam Brown purposely or accidentally bumped into Lincoln while they were traveling in opposite directions and challenged Lincoln to a duel. Method of fighting would be with an axe. Who was Sam Brown? An expert in the use of an axe. What was the experience of Lincoln? None. Lincoln refused to fight. He told Lincoln that he had no choice but to fight. But he did have two choices, to name the time and the place of their fight. So Lincoln said, you mean to say, I have no choice of weapons but to fight with an axe, which you're an expert at, that's right. But I do have the privilege of choosing the time and the place. So that's right. Lincoln, according to our past history, was well over 6 feet 4. And Sam Brown was 5 feet 8 inches tall. I'm going to report that again. He was 5 feet 8 inches tall. And realizing this difference in size, this was Lincoln's response in answer to his duel. I'll fight you tomorrow morning. Time, 8 o'clock. Place, under 6 feet of water. How tall was Sam Brown? 5'8". If another Korean stylist tells you, I want to challenge you, I want you to name the time and the place. Tell him tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, in the telephone booth located on the corner of 56 and whatever. Lead him into the booth and close the door behind you and tell him to kick. Okay? No man can name the time and the place. And that's why we try to teach you. To make sure that I would rather you become verbally prepared to get out of a situation.
Kenpo creed, I come to you with only karate, empty hands.